Let's pray. About Yahuah, thank you for love, thank you for kindness, and thank you for your mercy. Thank you for making us to be able to gather this hour to hear your word. Thank you, about Yahuah, because you say that where 2 or 3 are gathered together for your name's sake, you will be among you will be there. Abba Yahuah, we pray that though we are not in the same place in the flesh, but our spirit is connected, because you are the spirit that connects us together. We are your body. Abba Yahuah, I pray that as we gather here to learn your word, that you increase our wisdom and you increase our knowledge. You continue to make us to see more of you and see the path that you want us to follow. But Yahuah, I pray that you continue to lift us up by your word, and you guide us by Yahuah. Continue to widen our wisdom through your spirit and through your Arukah, that your word will manifest in our life. It will manifest in our environment, that people will look at us and they will to see your light in us. Will be the light of the world that you created us to be. That your light in us will shine for the world to see. Oh, by Yahuah, please let whatever word we are going to hear this night, let it be from you and let it be of you, according to your will and according to your purpose. In your mighty name, I pray. Amen. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
So we continue where we stopped on our feast of dedication. You know, during the first message of during the feast of Arukah, feast of dedication, was about cleansing our temple. Now, during our studies so far, we learned in the book of Maccabees and other scriptures that the temple we are cleansing now is not the physical temple that was in place thousands of years ago. It is actually our body. So now in that first message, we learned that our temples need to be cleansed, just like the way the Maccabees cleansed their temple. Cleansed the temple that was polluted by the heathens, and they cleansed it and rededicated it to Yahuah. So, and the second message, which was last week, we also learned that our light have to be restored. Our light, which is our Yahuah, has to restore into our heart, has to be in the midst of our temple, which is our heart. So we learned that last week, that the light has to be restored. This is Yahuah. You know, it said that we that walk in the light of Yahuah do not stumble, and the light of Yahuah is life. So the evil one took away our light from the temple and polluted it. Now Yahuah has bring us back to cleanse our temple, restore back the light and walk in the light. Now that we restore back the light, today's message will be rebuilding the walls. Now we know that before the evil one were able to come into the temple to take those valuable things, the light and every valuable things, the book of the law and all the treasures of the temple, they had to break the wall of protection before the evil ones were able to get into the inner part of the temple to take away those things. So now that those things have been restored, we have to build a wall this time to protect the treasure that is in the temple. Now, if I will start with Nehemiah, I'll start with the book of Nehemiah. Then Nehemiah, even before the story of Maccabees, I think we read some of the book of Nehemiah, if I can remember, where we were doing our first message and second message of about the cleansing of the temple during the feast of dedication. We read some part of Nehemiah. So Nehemiah was, just like I said, after Babylon destroyed the Holy Temple and took our people captive back in took our people captive to Babylon. So when after 70 years they returned back to the city of Jerusalem, to the Holy Land. But it was Jeremiah, Ezra, and others. Ezra were the first group of people that returned. So after some times, after like 20 years or less, then Nehemiah were among the people, the second group of people that returned to Holy Land. So when he returned back and he made the walls of the temple and the walls of the city burned down with fire, and the whole place was open, and that means that there was no any structure or any safety or any form of protection for the people that were dwelling in the city. So he was in grief. He actually did not return to meet. It was a report that someone from the first group of people that returned to the land brought him the report that the wall of the temple and of the city were down. So when he heard that report, because our people knew the importance of temple of war, so he was in grief. And the king of Persia have to notice it, ask him what happened. He explained to the king, and the Most High put in the king's heart to grant him permission to go and rebuild the wall of the temple. So we without saying much, I'm going to share my screen. Let's go to book of Nehemiah chapter 4, and we read from beginning to the end. So that will be our opening script today. Nehemiah chapter 4. Please, can someone help me with the reading?
I hope. Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 1.
Yeah.
But it came to pass that when Sanballat heard that we built the wall, he was wroth and took great indignation and mocked the Jews. He spoke before his brethren and the army of Samaria and said, what do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burned? Now Tobiah the Amorite was by him, and he said, even that which they build, if a fox go up, he shall even break down their stone wall. O hear our Elohim, for we are despised, and turn their reproach upon their own head. and give them for a prey in the land of captivity. And cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee, for they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. So built we the wall, and the all the wall was joined together unto half thereof, for the people had a mind to work. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Amorites and the Ashdodites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up, and that the breaches began to be stopped, then they were very wroth, and conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem, and to hinder it. Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto our Elohim, and set a watch against them day and night because of them. And Judah said, the strength of the bearers and the burdens is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall. And our adversary said, they shall not know, neither see, till we come in the midst among them, and slay them, and cause the work to cease. And it came to pass that when the Jews which dwelt by them came, they said unto us 10 times, from all places whence ye shall return unto us, they will be upon you. Therefore said I in the lower places behind the wall, and on the higher places, I even set the people after their families, with their swords, their spears, and their bows. And I looked up, and I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles, and to the rulers, and to the rest of the people, be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Yahuah, which is great and terrible, and fight for your brethren, your sons, and your daughters, and your wives, and your houses. And it came to pass, when our enemies heard that it was that excuse me. And it came to pass, when our enemies heard that it was known unto us, and Elohim had brought their counsel to naught, that we returned all of us to the wall, everyone unto his work. And it came to pass from that time forth that the half of my servants walked in the work, and the other half of them held both the spears and shields and the bows and the harbor goings, and the rulers were behind all the house of Judah. They which built on the wall, and they which that which that they which built on the wall, and they that bore burdens, and those that ladded, every one with one of his hands wrought in the work, and the other hand held a weapon. For the builders, everyone had his sword girdled by his side, and so built. And he that sounded the trumpet was by me. And I said unto the nobles, and to the rulers, and to the rest of the people, the work is great and large, and we are separated upon the wall, one far from another. In what place therefore ye hear the sound of the trumpet, restore ye thither unto us. Our Elohim shall fight for us. So we labored and worked, and half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning to the stars appeared. Likewise, at the time said I unto the people, let every one with his servant lodge within Jerusalem, that in the night they may be a guard to us, and labor on the day. So neither I nor my brethren, nor my servants, nor the men of the guard which followed me, none of us put off our clothes, saving that every one put them off for watching.
Okay, thank you, Mashaya, for the reading. Now we read here that when, like I said earlier, when Nehemiah and others come to build the word, if anybody should know our history, right from the day, um, right from the day of Esau and Jacob, we are always like have enemies. For me, Esau and Jacob, um, even when Jacob, like before he had his 12 son, was living in the land, the Canaan land, he has enemies. So we were always around, live in the midst of our enemies. Then during this time, after the Babylon destroyed the world and everywhere was open, now everybody could come into the holy place and um, mingle themselves. Now we couldn't differentiate the holy people, the set apart people, Yahudim and others. So, and right from time, our what Yahuah required from us was for us to always be in separation from other people. We were surrounded with the Jebusite, the Hittite, the Amorite, all the children of Canaan. Then on the other hand, we're also surrounded with children of Lot, which is the Ammonite, the Moab, and even the Edomite, the Esau, and we have the Assyrians. So and all these people were always our enemies. So when the wall was down, now anybody could come in, any unclean thing, anyone could come into the holy place. So that means there was no protection. So that is what prompted Nehemiah and others to build a wall to protect, to build a wall of protection to protect the people, because in ancient times, anybody that built a house or if that has a city or a nation that does not have a wall, that person has no protection at all. So the ancient times, wall was a very, very important thing. Even till this day, wall is very, very important, because wall, number one, wall defense and protects. Walls provide a barrier against invaders and plunderers. That is number one work of the wall. In ancient times, there were people that what we know as bandits today, or bandits. Their work is just to go around any city in group of people, to go around any place that does not have a wall. They will invade it, plunder them, kill anyone. So it was necessary for anybody that settled in any settlement to build a wall to protect them. So wall was the most important thing in ancient times when it comes to settlement or in any area of life. That is why wall is used as metaphor, most especially in the scriptures, to describe Yahuah's protection to his people. So another thing wall does is it sets boundaries. Like I said, this time, before the wall was broken, before the wall was down, there was boundary between us, our people, our ancestors, the Israelites, and other nations. So they could not come in because there was boundary, there was wall that protect us. Now there is no wall again. So there was no wall again. So anybody could come in and go out. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, if you study the book of Ezra, you will notice that our people the first people that were returned with Ezra, actually, because of there was no wall to protect the people from mingling with other people. They were actually deeply into sin, because back then it was forbidden for them to take strange wives, like wives from other nations. So they were taking strange wives, which actually the wives of people who worship idols, including the priest who was supposed to be guiding the people, because there was no wall that keep those people outside. So they intermingled. So if you read book of Ezra, you see that Ezra was kind of petitioning for himself and for the whole nation, and it caused everyone to repent, to put the strange wife away. And that happened because there was no wall of protection. So when there is no wall, that means there is no safety. Anything can come to invade and plunder any territory that doesn't have a wall. Another thing the wall does is wall indicate areas under authority. You know, back then when they have that wall actually shows that these people belongs to the Almighty Creator. So that alone mark us different from other people. They like people could know that these are the people that you should not mess with, because their provider, their protector is not of this world. It's not like any other power or Elohim or idol. Not they are not Elohim. They are not. So they are actually people that belongs to Elohim, the Almighty Creator. So that word actually mark territory out. What it mark is separate us from separate people from other people. So war protects citizens from harm. Like I said, once there was war, there was no harm. No harm can come into the can come to harm the people, because the war was used to be a barrier against any invaders. War also was what we used to to know identity. You know, not that other nations did not have wars; they have wars. You know, like the Jebusite, they have their own wars. Like everyone have their wars. So whichever wars you were in, so that defined who you are. If you were inside the wall of the Jebusite, that means you are a Jebusite. So if you were living inside the Israelite, that means you were Israelite. So that is how important our wall is. So even our holy temple has a wall. There was a wall that surround the city, and there was a wall that surround the temple. As a matter of fact, even inside the temple, there was still some form of wall that surround the holy place. So that shows how important um, wall is. So and that just the physical wall, how it was used in the during the time of our ancestors. So now let's go to our let's go to Hebrew. Let's go and define some Hebrew. Let's go and check out the Hebrew word for war. Um, and if you can see, this is the word for war, hate. I until now, I've not noticed that this word is used in many words. Like, I'm sorry, this letter is used in many words. That means if that means everything in this life is separation. Everything in this life has to do with separation, like kind of building to divide. There has to be something inside and something outside. This word is used in a lot of things, and so you can see the word means fence, wall, to separate that which is inside and that which is outside. This letter head means to protect, means to separate one thing to another. So this letter means you separate one thing to another, like cause separation from something, separate us from one thing to join to another. So when like our Hebrew word, like each word is a word. Sorry, each letter is a word, right? So that means each letter is made of a word to form it. Like head is made of 3 words: head, yod, tav. So what does this letter separate us from? What does this separate us from? If we spell that word, you will spell it out. This is head spelling out. You spell it out. You have head, yod, tav. So you see that the word separate us from outside to inside, to be the Torah of the covenant, to keep the Torah of the, like to keep the commandment of the covenant of Yahuah. So I think we have done a lesson before when we know the word for sin. The word for sin actually it still starts with head. You know, the word have negative charge and positive charge. So sin keeps us away from the Torah. While building a wall separate that while the same building a wall also separate us from outside, like from the sin, from the world, to be in the covenant and to keep the Torah, which link us to the covenant of Yahuah. So the world is considered to be outside. So, and we have to separate ourselves from the world, which is outside, to be inside with Yahuah. That means when we separate ourselves from the world, from lawlessness, from wickedness, and yoke ourselves to the covenant, you can see the yoke represent 10 commandments, the work of our hand, what we do. So when yoke ourselves to the covenant of Yahuah, that means you separate ourselves from outside, from those that are outside, and to come inside to the world, to come inside to dwell with Yahuah. So and this is as like I said earlier, we started this message during the Feast of Tabernacle. So, and the most surprising thing is that the word for feast start with head. The word for feast start with head. So Yahuah designed all the feasts to separate us from outside, to dwell inside with him so that he will uplift us. Like the word, the word is, you can see the word head, pictograph, if you study pictograph, wall, which means separate, to separate outside, inside. Camel, like to uplift. You know, when you are in, is where we get the word gadol, which means great. You know, when somebody, like if you are sitting on top of a camel, you know, camel will bend down, and you once you sit on it, the camel will, you know, rise up. That way you rising, like it raise you higher than like other people. Like, you get what I'm saying? So that way you are higher than everyone else. So that's how our people, like, you know, our pictograph people. You get what I'm saying? So the both sides put the feast together to separate us from the world, to dwell in him, to feast with him, so that way he will uplift us. You see, so even the feast itself separate us from the world. So everything, that means the Most High actually used the feast as a form of a wall to separate us from the world. You know, the pagans have their own feast and their own wickedness. So Yahuah has to design the feast days to separate us, to build the wall to separate us from the wicked world. And so so that means we separate ourselves from the feast of the world to dwell inside and feast with Yahuah, so that it can uplift us. Another word that starts with letter head is the word for new, Hadesh. So you can see it's separate from the old ways and to new thing. You can see separated, head means to separation. Dalet, like to move. Shin stand for divine, to separate from the, you know, Dalet means move, and also move means a door, like to move in a way of the divine. You know, separate from the flesh to move in these things, in the ways of the spirit. So you can see that everything has to do with separation. Why? So our ancestors understand what a wall means. A wall serves different purposes. Like as a matter of fact, when I was kind of thinking about it, everything we do, I think there is a word. There always a word in everything we do. So this is another word for war. Sorry, this is another word that used the same letter that I used for like the word that means war in our in the Hebrew. It's the same word that the same letter that I used to form a word that has to do with separation. I separating from the old to the new thing, separating from our old ways to a new form of new way, separating from the way we used to live to the way Yahuah wants us to live, separating from all form of uncleanness, corruption, anything that is profane. Remember, we first of all clean the temple. That means we are removing. You get what I'm saying? You are separating the uncleanness from the temple, from our body, to bring in cleanliness. We are removing old things, which is corrupt, and the worldly things, to bring in things of Yahuah. Another word that starts with this same head is our word for life. You can see, and you can see the two letter. Commandment is the life. The yod represents commandment. The 10 and head means you separate you from being lawless, for being outside of commandment, to living according to the commandment, because the commandment is life, and the commandment is the dwelling place of Yahuah. So the with all these all these letters, actually there are more. Most of the important words in the scriptures that I come to realize that he used the word head. That means separation. Like, it actually shows how important it is for us to be in separation with everything else and to be with Yahuah. That's why I said I am set apart. I want you to be set apart. I am holy. I want you to be holy. All Yahuah requires from us, right from the day he made the covenant. He renewed the covenant we made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, with our ancestors in the wilderness, was to be separated from the world and to live according to him. So now, the word for life is actually means to separate yourself from the world and to live in the Torah. So Torah is the dwelling place. So Torah is our house. So that means we have to guide it. We have to build a wall to guide the Torah. When I said to build a wall to guide the Torah, this actually means putting boundaries, creating boundaries, and putting out everything that is distracting us from keeping the Torah, keeping the commandments. Because the commandment is our dwelling place, it's our place of safety, it's our life. You can see it's the life. So anything that we know that will bring harm to us, anything that distracts us from the Torah is something that will actually like lead us to death, because Torah is the life. So it's some if anything distracts us from Torah, I mean that thing is something that can lead us or will lead us to death. So we have to create a wall. We have to build a wall to put anything, to put all things or anyone that will distract us or keep us away from keeping the Torah or from living in it according to Torah. So another way we have to create a wall is to studying the Torah and knowing it, because Torah is our our life. Torah protect once you know the Torah and you are living according to Torah. Torah protects us from any form of harm. So we we don't have to fear anything once we fear Yahuah. So when we fear Yahuah and live according to his command and live in the Torah, we have nothing to fear, or no harm can come to us. So the only way harm will come to us is when we live outside of Torah. So that means the evil one, the people that try to bring harm to us, will always make sure that we live a life outside of Torah. So that is when we have all form of attacks, like we see in Nehemiah, in the book that we just read. We see that when the wall was broken down, anybody could come in. You know what I'm saying? They caused the people to sin. The priests were marrying all strange wives. Our people went back into idolatry even after the Babylonian captivity. So the evil one did not have any issues with that, because we are living in corruption, we're living in the world. But as long as Nehemiah and others decided to start building the wall, you can see from the book we read that they started, the attack started coming. They were started from mockery. They started from mocking them from building the wall. When they see that it was succeeded, they were succeeding in building the wall, they started attacking them. So the evil one knows that once you build the wall, once you live in the Torah, that means you have built a wall of protection around you. You have guided your heart. You are under the edge of protection of Yahuah. So no harms can come to you. So it will always, one way or the other, make sure that we do not live according to Torah. So when we live according to Torah, Torah protects us from a lot of harm, physical harm, spiritually harm, mentally, emotionally, and all area harm. Once you live, because everything we're looking for in this life is in the Torah. And Torah is we must know Torah to even be able to know other scriptures, to be able to interpret other scriptures, because all the interpretation of the scriptures are in the Torah. Torah is, some people say Torah is the first 5 books, but that is if you begin to study it, it's the first 5 books. Torah is the whole word, is the whole scriptures. All interpretation of the scriptures are in the scriptures. So, like Peter said, there's no scriptures required any human interpretation, because all these interpretation that we need to interpret the scriptures are in the scriptures, and most of the time we always trace the interpretation back to the Torah, like to the first 5 books and the prophets. So that is how important it is for us to build the wall now. Like I said, Nehemiah and others were trying to build a wall to protect the physical city and the physical temple. Now we are building a wall and a boundary to protect our home, our home and our spiritual temple, which is our body. And now the wall that we are building is not just for the physical things we see, it's also spiritual, because now we are in the spiritual world, not the physical. So the Most actually use those physical incidents in the scriptures, events, for us to actually make us to actually know how the plot of the enemies in the spiritual realm. So the evil one will always come to attack us. So once we, number one, build that wall of create that boundaries and put everything away that is distracting us from keeping Torah, that means we have built our first wall from the to like our protection wall, and also the our defense wall that put barriers that barriers us from the world or from any invaders or plunderers to come into to plunder our treasure again. Remember, we just recovered back our treasure, which is Torah. So Torah is our light, and Torah is also our wall. So what it means we build our right Torah, it means that whatever thing we believe in has to be rooted in Torah. Well, our life has to be conducted in Torah, because Torah covers all the aspects of life. It covers, there's nothing, whether civil life, ceremonial life, everything, including economic life. It's in Torah. If you study it properly and allow Yahuah's spirit to lead you, you'll see that everything you are looking for in this life, it's in the Torah. So when we make Torah our foundation of living, it will protect us from every danger or it protect us from any harm. So that's the first wall we need to build. We need to build a wall of Torah around us. We guide Torah, and so that Torah will guide us from any form of evil or any form of harm. That's why Yahuah said in Deuteronomy that the commandment I give you this day, guide it. Guiding it means setting boundaries around it. So make it like use metaphor. He said write it on your forehead. Like it has to be in your mind always, and you have to write in your heart. That is, Torah has to be in your heart. Now, whatever you think about Torah. When your mind trying to reason, when your heart think, it has to be rooted in the Torah. So that way, will protect you from any corruption, corrupt thinking, or perverse, or indulging anything corruption or wickedness. Once you always fix your mind in the Torah, that's why King David said, "Blessed are mine, for walk not on the counsel of ungodly, or not stand in the ways of sinners. But in Torah, in the law, I meditate day and night." So once our mind is in the Torah, that means we have built that word. That is, as a matter of fact, that is one thing I do when I talk to people. This is how I do, right? When I talk to people, whatever thing anybody said, I have to make sure I have to, like, in my mind, I've used Torah as my word, right? So whatever you say to me, I make sure that thing is already in Torah, because I read Torah. So if the one I'm not sure, I'll put it in my like the goat, they have two stomach, right? So some stomach, when they chew something, that thing go to the other stomach. So later they belch, like they bring out that thing again and chew it again. So later I will bring out what you said. I will bring it out, examine it with Torah on myself to know that what you said was is rooted in Torah, or it was from other spirit. So another wall we need to build, the second wall we need to build, is the wall of discernment. The wall of discernment. Now we know that we have to live according to Torah. Now the evil one will not say, "Oh, this." It will always try to make something that looks like Torah. He will always try to create his own Torah, or photocopy his own Torah. It's not Torah of Yahuah. You get what I'm saying? To also, all in the purpose of luring us away from keeping Torah. So that is where you have people with all kinds of interpretation of Torah. So this is when discernment comes. So this is when we have to make wisdom, as rooted in the Torah, to guide us. That is quite interesting, because Hebrew word for this Hebrew word for wisdom Qadmiy'el. You see, it has
You're going in and out as well now.
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but it's breaking, right? It's really breaking. It's breaking really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Qadmiy'el, which has to do you can see the word has head in it. So head, like to separate. Palm is like, it also calf also represents cup or palm, like it also the cup bend. So the calf bend you to water. Now, water is water is life, and Torah is also represents life. Torah is life. Torah is water, I mean to say, and water is life. Now, not all water is for drinking, like ocean. Ocean water is salty, it's not good for, you can't drink ocean water, right? But it's water and it looks clean. So that means with not everything that looks like water, that is water. Not every water that we drink, not every water is for drinking. Or there's water is life, right? But there are some water that we drink that will actually bring death and sickness to us. So with wisdom, so with palm, so the calf bend you to make a choice of which water you choose. It make a choice. If you drink good the water of the Torah or salty water that will bring damage to the body. So you see, any water, if you drink the water of Torah, it will lead to life. So that is why the scripture said is the fear of Yahuah is the beginning of wisdom. So when we begin to fear Yahuah and separate ourselves from drinking from the bitter water, that is when we have wisdom that guides us to life. So what actually separates us, what differentiates us from the rest of the world is our fear of Yahuah. You know, the rest of the world do not fear Yahuah. So that's why they don't have his wisdom. They don't have his knowledge. They don't have his Torah. They don't know. They do not know his way. That way they are grooming in darkness, which is leading to death to everlasting life. So it is our fear of Yahuah that make us to be wise and to walk in the direction of living water that leads us to everlasting life. So as we build the wall, so like the first wall is a wall that we have to build to protect ourselves, to protect Torah, to guide Torah, and guide everything that wants to distract us from keeping the Torah. The second word is word of discernment. What that we have to use that so that we're able to discern, use wisdom of Yahuah, wisdom that is rooted in Torah, to know which one is Torah and which one is not. You know, people will come with all form of interpretation of the Torah, that this Torah said that. I know there is a lot of metaphor and idiomatic expression in the scriptures, but if you check the first 5 books, especially the commandment part, it is very, very literal. Do not do this, do not do that. It's as easy as ABC. There's no way to apply. There's no way to say this place was literal. I mean, when it comes to commandment, the place that the Most High use idioms and metaphor to speak a lot is when he speaks to the prophet, which he has already said in the story that he will speak to people like in a way that they will not understand. So that's why he used the prophets to speak to the prophet. He used the prophets to speak in idioms and metaphor. But when it comes to Torah, everything is literal, very clear. Do not do this. Do not eat this. Everything is very clear. There's no how to try to think if this is what it means or this is not what. Nah, if you check the first 5 books, it's like when it comes to commanding, it always makes it clear. When he says he spoke to children, he spoke to Moses and to tell the children of Israel, do not do this, do not do that. If this to do, this is what you should do. Torah is very, very clear. The Most High is not author of confusion. He never make it difficult for us to understand what he wants or what he doesn't want. He did not make it difficult. He makes it very clear that this is what you should do and this is what you should not do. So Torah, when it comes to scriptures, Torah is very, very clear. It's something that anybody reads and understand. So it is the prophet that you need to use wisdom of Torah to interpret, because interpretation of the prophet is Torah. So whatever instruction is given in the Torah, that's instruction you use to interpret the book of the prophet. So once we have the wisdom of Yahuah, of Torah, of Yahuah, once we believe in Torah, we live according to Torah, we have his wisdom. So we will know whenever we have any conversation or we have anything to do, we know what which water to drink in. We know if this person that is talking to us, is it talking from the Torah or it's just philosophy? Because these days there are a lot of philosophy and man doctrine, man that sounds very, very good and sweet, and that's it kind of sounds like the word of the Most High, which is not. So if we do not use the wisdom of Torah, we will always welcome philosophy and ideology, thinking that it's Torah, mix it with Torah. So we have to stand firm and make Torah like Paul said in Ephesians. We have to make like our belt with the truth, which is the Torah. Torah is the truth. That is the second wall we must build to protect the treasure that we have restored back in, which is the light. Torah is the light, and Torah is also the wall. You know, Yahuah lives in our midst, which is our heart. It also lives outside of us, which is the wall. That means everything we need, all we need is Yahuah. So all we need is His word in our heart, and His word surround outside of us to surround us to the Torah. So that is those as we cleanse our temple and restore back the light, we have to build a wall to protect it, because the same way when our ancestors when they came back from Babylonian captivity, they came back with the treasure, with the temple treasure. So that way they built a wall to surround. But they did not build a wall to surround those treasure and to protect the people. So that way people could still come back in and took away the treasure. But once they started building a wall to protect the treasure, you see the people, there was enemy attack, started attacking them, because they know that once you build the wall, you'll be able to put the enemy outside. Another thing I wanted to take notice of, if you study Torah, if you read Torah, our ancestors in the wilderness, we notice that one person will do something and it will affect the whole group, the whole